Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up. Period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce, that thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking to Catherine Toms from Marketing Growth Academy and now also AI Growth Academy. Welcome.
Good morning, Tristan. Thank you so much for having me. Really happy to be here.
That's exciting. We live just around the corner from one another, but it's taken us weeks and weeks, if not months, to finally get together on this podcast.
Absolutely. But it'll be worth the wait.
Now, tell us a bit about your backstory. We can all tell there's a tiny bit of an accent.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So I'm British and emigrated over here in 2014. Prior to coming to Australia, my career was always in corporate. So I worked in-house as a marketer for a big global recruitment business, Hays. And then back in the early 2000s, got the opportunity to move into their digital part of the business. And so that was a real pivotal moment in my career to go more digital first. Back in the early 2000s, when everyone was still working out what the internet was going to do and whether this goggle thing was going to stick around, my job was actually working with the businesses and consultants at Hays to lead and guide them through digital change. So it was all about thinking about, well, what does this mean for our jobs? How can we do things more effectively? How can we do things more efficiently now that we've got all these online tools? So that was back in the early 2000s. I then moved to a digital agency before emigrating over here to Australia in 2014. So yeah, that's a little bit of the corporate backstory before arriving in Melbourne.
2014. When did you set up your business? Like now, your husband, your partner is also your business partner. So
this is true, Tristan. So yes, there's a little bit of a story to it.
Yeah.
When we decided to emigrate to Australia, we could have gone the quick way. Well, it's never quick, is it? But we could have gone the short way of jumping on a plane from Heathrow and coming straight to Australia. We actually decided to go the long way. So we had 2 children when we left London, a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old. And we decided to take the opportunity to be digital nomads for a couple of years and travelled around the world with our 2 children, working out what it was that we wanted to do next. And it was during this 20-month trip overseas that we came upon the idea that my background was always digital and marketing and strategy and helping clients navigate what they wanted to do next with digital. Steve's background was in education. So we felt if we combined our skills, I had all the digital know-how, marketing knowledge. He had the experience in how do you bring that to life in a really engaging way that people can learn and jump on board with. So it was actually on our trip in a beach in Bali that the idea of going into business together was born. And when we arrived back here at the end of 2014, that's when we launched our business together and started working together.
Now, often I will say to my clients, it's not the best idea to run a business or be involved with the business with a family member.
Yes, we are 10 years into the journey. It's certainly been challenging it just has that extra dimension of things to think about, doesn't it? Because your business partner is also your life partner. So we've had a number of different things that have helped over the years. I think in the early days, anyone that worked with us, it was almost the equivalent of buy one, get one free. We didn't have distinct roles and distinct things that we were good at, and we'd mush over each other a little bit, or we would tread on each other's toes, or there'd be things that fell through the gaps. So one of the most helpful things that we did with the guidance of a business coach a few years ago was actually work out what are the things that we're good at? What are the things that we love doing? What are the things that neither of us want to do, and how are we going to get those done? And having those really clear role allocations has been a godsend, because it means that we can break off. It's like, I know when it's Steve's decision and he's in charge of that particular domain. I know what I'm responsible for, and we're way more effective and efficient as a result. And then I guess that second element of having boundaries is just being really strict on when you're in business mode and when you're in family mode. So just having that real discipline to say, you know, I'm making school lunch boxes at the moment, or we're sitting down having family dinner. Our daughters are now 14 and 11, so they certainly call us out very quickly if we start.
They want to focus on them, not on the business.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a few simple things, but it's amazing in that you're working with the person in business who's always got your back. So you do step up, you look after each other, you can be each other's cheerleader when you're maybe having a bit of a tricky time. So it's got massive benefits. But yes, you've got to go into it with your eyes open. And I think 99% of people we meet go, oh my gosh, I could never do that.
Well, it's if you've got a similar goal, you want the same outcome, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose one of the challenging things is all of us are trying to balance, aren't we? We're trying to have a balance of family life, work life, business, friendships, health. And I think one of the hardest things about both of you being in the business is when it's really, really busy, you're both on. It's not like the other person can supplement and say, well, don't worry, I'll pick up the slack at home because you're really full on at work. And then vice versa, if you're going through a challenging patch and business is maybe a little bit quieter and you're trying to drum things up, you're both in it together and you've got both shoes into this one business. So you have to be able to kind of be positive and bring each other along on that journey when things are difficult. So that's probably one of our other big learns that we've learned as business owners and co-founders.
You can't, as you said, you both have to be up. You both have to be working the big hours or the shorter hours because you're both in it together. And I guess that would make it tough from a mental standpoint when you're wanting to have those breaks or when one of you have had a hit, both of you have had a hit.
Yeah, that's it. So I think you've just got to be super mindful of that. And, you know, same as any business, there's good days and bad days. There's tricky weeks and really exciting weeks. And you've just got to buoy each other up. And we're really good at that, of realizing, well, the other person's having a bit of a tough week or feeling a bit down in the dumps or running low on energy. How can I dig in and kind of pull us back up? So no, we're lucky for that.
Yeah. So 11 years at time of recording, you've been in business. So what's that journey been like? Has it just been the two of you? Have you had staff, freelancers, services, contractors, all of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so predominantly it's been the two of us. We have very good systems and processes behind us. And yes, we do lean on some freelance support for things like graphic design and things that neither of us particularly love doing or we're particularly good at. And as I said, we've often lent on people externally for more strategic guidance or thinking about what direction we want to take the business in. Again, I think particularly being a husband and wife team, it can get a bit all consuming at times and you need to sort of step back and get that external perspective. So yeah, we've got a great team around us of business strategists, of finance team, accountants and some freelancers, but it's very, very lean, very lean. And in terms of the evolution, we started out doing marketing training for corporates and enterprises. We've always had some really strong collaborations and we've outsourced our smarts and our skills to other training providers so that's spread our net a little bit further rather than everything having to be us winning every incoming lead and directly servicing that business. And that's been able to really help us grow. And then the biggest pivot for us has obviously been the past couple of years. So that's been a pivot of really leaning in a lot more. We've always trained marketing teams on marketing technology, data, analytics, customer insights. So it's always been very, very digital marketing focused. But over the last year or two, obviously that's meant leaning in an awful lot more to AI and helping figure out how's AI going to show up and help us? How's it going to enhance what we can do, but in the right way? So that's been a huge pivot. And the second pivot has been shifting away from purely doing B2B enterprise corporate training to now we also have a public offer. So we're speaking to people at scale as well. So yeah, lots of growth and evolution.
Changes there. What was the moment that you decided to say, hey, yeah, we're going full on into AI or AI in marketing? Were you sitting over dinner one night or?
So we've been training leaders and marketing teams about AI for about 5 years now. So obviously AI, as we all know, has been around in marketing for ages, machine learning, algorithms, optimizing send times, subject lines, there's been an awful lot behind the scenes that's been built on AI before generative AI. So it's always been part of what we've done. And we've always believed that tapping into the human element plus technology is what helps us get to the right people with the right messages at the right time. So that's always been a big part of what we did. And then, go back to November 2022 and ChatGPT burst onto the scenes. And we just knew that this was something different. This was really exciting. The capabilities, obviously, as we all know, that went on and tested out a few prompts in the early days were quite rubbish. Put some average stuff in and got some average stuff back. But it was like, wow, if this is the starting point, and I think back in the day, they said it's currently got the intelligence level of a cat. We were like, right, really, really quickly, this is going to evolve and the capabilities and what it's going to unlock for us. We've all wanted that holy grail of content at scale and personalization. And suddenly you could see all of these opportunities of what Gen AI was going to unlock. So very quickly, we started proactively talking to clients about that and what that might look like. And also just fully immersing ourselves in our own business, just being in the tools every day. How can we use it? What's showing up? How's it working? And that fundamental shift is just been growing and growing in terms of people's demand to want to start learning more about it and getting their heads around it.
Yeah, awesome. So you've still got the original business, but you said you've pivoted across to AI and marketing. Why are you doing that at the larger corporate level as well, or is it more the public offering?
Interesting question, Tristan. What we're finding with a lot of corporates at the moment and a lot of big enterprises, as you might imagine, there's appetite to want to use AI, but there's also risk aversion as well. And there's worries and there's lots of tangles of red tape of going, yeah, we want to do it, but... And so what we've been finding is absolutely, we still offer team training. We're still doing team training and we've got some great early adopter companies or companies that are getting their heads around it and jumping on board. But a lot of others are a little bit stuck at the moment. But marketers within those teams don't want to wait for their companies to catch up. They want to learn, they want to grow their skills, they see the opportunity. So having both offers, being able to go in and enterprise train when businesses are ready, but having a public offer for those who are not getting training at work or want to self-service, or small businesses, small teams, founders, entrepreneurs. Yeah, I'd say there's definitely more appetite on the consumer side at the moment. But that in turn, these individuals are then going back to their teams and saying, oh my goodness, we need this training. So it's starting to actually generate leads back into enterprise and business training as well.
Yeah, interesting. So it's almost like it's a funnel that you're targeting the staff members. They're maybe getting funding from their companies, maybe not.
I had a great story last week of a senior marketer in an organization, put it to her boss that she wanted to come on the training. Boss said, no funding at the moment. So she was like, that's it. I'm going to self-fund this. I want to learn. This is important to me. I'm going to put my hand in my own pocket and pay. Came along to the training. After, we always give people like a one pager to take back into the business to say, look, this is what you've learned. This is your skills uplift. This is now what you're able to do and bring into the business. She pitched it back to her boss. He was so impressed. Not only has he reimbursed her the training money, but he's also now wants to find out about, yes, how does she become the AI champion and how can we help support her bring that back into the team? So it's this beautiful, beautiful little life cycle.
Yeah, I love it. That's such a cool concept. So Before we dig back into that too much, I want to go back to your journey as business owners and hear about some of those times where you're like, it's not doing what we wanted, or the business is going in the wrong direction, and how you dealt with all of that.
Yeah, so there's been a couple of things over the years, as I'm sure we can all think of. One was where we realised that we were probably getting about 60 to even more % of our revenue from one client. And obviously that is extremely risky. And what we'd basically set ourselves up to be, we thought we were running a business, but we were almost glorified freelance consultants for one business. So it's really, really hard to kind of unravel yourself back from that, because you've got the short term immediate bonus of the revenue coming in, and it was keeping us busy, and they were booking us out to go and do enterprise training. You know, we were getting flown all over the world. It was marvelous. You know, we were busy, we were building a lot of stuff, and we were successful, and we were making money. But when we actually stopped, we were like, we don't have a business. We have one freelance client that is keeping us afloat. And we have a massive amount of risk if we do not diversify and start to separate ourselves off and wean ourselves off that flow of incoming work. And that's very challenging, because as a business owner, you're having to work as two speeds, aren't you? You're having to satisfy this immediate work that's coming downstream, but you're also having to kind of build yourself a bit of an exit strategy that you're keeping yourself safe, so that if that client switched off, you've still got that, you know, the business coming in. And fortunately for us, that's a journey that we probably started about 4 years ago. It was during COVID. Funnily enough, our business got really, really busy because we were training teams on how to be more digital. And in COVID, what do teams need to do? Everybody had to be more digital. We'd also done online training. Interactive online training had been a very big method of how we delivered our training since about 2017. We started doing that. So we were extremely experienced in how do you do Zoom in a really engaging way and use breakouts and surveys and interactivity as opposed to death by PowerPoint. So for two reasons, our business actually got a lot busier during COVID, and that was a really good time to switch that business model. And it was also very opportune, because subsequently the business that we were getting a lot of business downstream from has really changed their focus to be a lot more data and technology focused, and the incoming leads have virtually dried up now. So that was a big lesson.
So you learned, like you saw the issue, but you didn't necessarily get negatively impacted. You just got a big fright.
Yeah, it was a big risk. It was a big risk. And when we woke up to that risk, it was like, whoa, we are leaving ourselves very, very exposed here. So working, as said, you know, with external people that were going through our business accounts and going, hang on, guys, you've got 60% plus coming down from just one.
Yes.
That's a risk. And so, to be able to have worked with people that saw that coming on the horizon, and then actually putting a plan in place for how we might diversify. And then just the COVID opportunity for us was what enabled that diversification quite quickly. So we were just quite fortunate that we saw that coming.
Yeah.
And then I guess right now, I mean, it's definitely challenging pivoting to a new focus. And I find it quite funny that people still say to us, gosh, you're such early adopters. I don't feel like we're an early adopter of AI at all now. I feel like this is a 2-year conversation that we've been having, but we are still waiting for businesses to catch up. That shift of having to say, well, look, corporate's not quite ready yet. Let's move to a consumer offer. That's been a big headache. And I know I've spoken to you about that offline, but it's just like to go from servicing 1 or 2 large B2B contracts a month to trying to speak to 100, 200, 300 people requires different systems and processes and automations
Different skills, all of the above. So
yeah.
how are you finding that change? Are you happy with that change in direction?
I love talking to a lot more people. I love the fact that I feel like we're connecting. We're doing a lot more webinars. We're a lot more, my DMs are really busy. We're constantly on calls with people. I feel like we're having a lot more conversations, which is brilliant. But we have to have the systems and processes behind it to back it up. So at the moment, there's been having to think about, well, what are the funnels around if we want to put, our public courses, We usually cap at around about 30, 40 people. In order to do the numbers, to get 30 to 40 people to join a course, you've got to be talking to hundreds of people to then get those conversions. So working back all those maths and those funnels and working out the volumes and scale and how do we reach that many people? What systems and processes do we have to have in place to make it a really great, smooth, nurturing experience for them, something manageable for us? And then equally when they join, what does all that onboarding look like? There's been a huge amount of rethinking the workflows and processes of our business. Because when you're doing, a corporate enterprise training, I might talk to one person. There's 40 people in the room when I arrive, but I've got one person coordinating all of that. So it's become a lot more of a volume play, and having to get all those systems and processes set up has been work.
Yes, so you've got to set up a lot before you even can consider getting any results.
Well, you almost don't realize what's gone wrong till it starts going wrong. And then you're like, whoa, I need a funnel to fix this. I need something. I need an automation. Because suddenly it starts spiraling, and what should take you 10 minutes is chewing up 3 hours of your day.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so you've gone from selling, let's say, high ticket items to much lower ticket items. It's almost a full pivot, like a very, very, very big change there.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of change. And as you say, everything changes with that. The message, the individual decision maker, as I said, is a lot more an individual business owner, marketer, CEO, CMO, we're talking to an individual who's often putting their hands in their own pocket to pay for this training. So their motivations and what they want to personally achieve out of it. So everything from positioning, content strategy, educational content, delivering value, lead nurturing. It's a lot more around psychology and understanding what somebody's trigger and motivation is, as opposed to, as you said, doing a high ticket B2B sale. That was all about how we're going to deliver better performance, better growth, better ROI off the back of it. It's a very commercial decision. Whereas an individual, there's a lot more layers of psychology around why someone's going to sign up and want to do our course. And so we've had to really kind of unpack that, get inside that mindset, understand those buyer behaviors and triggers, and then speak to them through the content and messaging that we're doing.
Yeah. How have you, so that change, you've made that massive pivot. How far into that are you? And what are you seeing like that is, okay, yeah, I'm happy with this pivot. Like, and what's the ultimate reason? Like we touched on the fact that top of the funnel, are you treating this as a top of the funnel activity?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think there's waiting for the businesses to play catch up. As I said, I think our business would not, the volume of incoming leads for corporate and team AI training at the moment was still quite slow. There's appetite, but things were getting stuck while they work out compliance and systems and technology and guidelines and ethics and, all those other things that at a business level, people are a little bit risk averse about. So I think had we stayed just doing corporate training, it would be challenging at the moment. We do also have some businesses that are like, well, we don't want to bring AI in until we've sorted out our marketing strategy, which is absolutely the right thing to do. So we're still getting some incoming training for getting all of your marketing strategy and your marketing stuff ready and your data ready so that you can bring AI in. But the AI element alone, I think is going to take a little bit of time to come downstream. So absolutely, I think it was the right decision to move to a consumer offer. We launched our first course in March. So we pivoted the business over January, February, which we all know in Australia is one of our quieter times. So that was where we rebuilt out the website, worked out what was going in these programs, worked out what we wanted to take to market. And that was off the back of, we've been doing corporate AI training and consultancy with businesses for 2.5 years. So we took down the best bits of what we knew worked in those trainings and put that together as our public offer. So it was a tried and tested, but we wanted to make it super bite-sized, super focused on the value. So we built all that out over January, February, ran our first launch in March, deliberately quite a small cohort so that we could really get quite a lot of intense insights. What worked? What would we do differently? Went really, really well. So we went full out into market and ran our second cohort in May. So it's early days, but the feedback from that one was phenomenal. So far, we've filled all our seats just with incoming organic leads. So the next,
Wow.
the next challenge is now paid.
Yes.
We've never had to do paid advertising. All of our B2B business was incoming leads, word of mouth, repeat clients. We're very good at hanging on to people. So we've never actually had to have a paid strategy ourselves. So now it's all about collaborations, PR, paid, and getting more exposure out into the market to keep that flowing. But yes, very happy. And as I said before, having the consumer offer then lead back into businesses is, I think, what will be the next evolution of the business.
Yeah, and that's a bit I'm excited for. Like it's a self-fulfilling funnel.
Yeah. Well, they become your advocate. You're not selling. They're going back in for you and saying, this is amazing. We have to do it. So we've got an army of salespeople going back in and convincing their skeptical bosses or their curious CFO or whoever it might be that we need to do this. But with all businesses, we say with AI, it is just start small, start safe, build confidence. Don't not do stuff because you haven't got all your ducks in a row and your data's not perfectly clean. It never will be. It's just getting started, isn't it? So if this approach enables us to see, here's some small use cases we can get started and now we can build momentum, then that's ideal.
That's it. So we were to look back on your last 5 years of business, where you were 5 years ago, if you had yourself to give yourself a piece of advice to do things differently or to learn this or follow this, what would that piece of advice be?
If I'd known that we were going to pivot to consumer, I probably would have been a lot more focused on data and building our database and being really good. So obviously we would go into corporate and we'd have one client that we're working with, but all of the data that sits around that, we've trained thousands of marketers, but now we're actually having to build the consumer database up because we've never had those contacts in the market. So I think I would have wanted to almost have the foresight that this is where we're going to go, to have had that tech foundation in place, because we're now having to, it's the classic, isn't it, of like build the plane while flying the plane. So we didn't have that technology. So I would have taken myself back in a time machine and started building the tech and getting all of our CRMs really neat and tidy and segmentation and tagging, and so that it would have been a more seamless switch over. Actually now building all the tech to suit a B2C business when it was traditionally a B2B, it is a lot of backpedaling and a lot of work. So that's what I would like my time machine for, please, Tristan.
So basically making sure you keep your data clean and accurate.
Yes.
Because you never know when you're going to need it in the future.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Catherine, if people want to get in contact with you to either learn more about this program or just to chew your ear off, what's the best way to connect with you?
Absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn, Catherine Toms at the AI Growth Academy. And our website is it's aigrowthacademy.com.au. And they can find out more there. So I'm also a huge advocate of making AI learning accessible to everybody. So we never put techie jargon out there. We're all about making sure that everybody can come on the journey. I feel that, there's going to be, otherwise you've got the haves, the people that are learning, and then the have-nots that are going to get left behind. So even if people just want to start dipping their toe in, finding out what it's all about, we've got lots of resources, webinars, free stuff that you can kind of follow along and sort of learn and get your confidence up. So hopefully they can jump onto one of our webinars and find out a little bit more about what we're all about.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Tristan. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.